Yarden, Bamidbar, Ba'arava, Molsuf, Ben Paran, Ben Tofel, Avavan, V'Chatzeros, V'Dizab. So a very cryptic pasuk that the final of the 5 books opens with. These are the words that Moshe Rabbeinu said to the people in Ever Yarden. We know they were at Ever Yarden at this point, about to go into Eretz Yisrael. So this is 37 days before Moshe Rabbeinu passes away. This whole thing takes place. This entire Chumash. So the Torah tells us where did this take place? Ba'arava, Molsuf, Ben Paran, Uben Tofel, Vilavan, V'Chatzerot, V'Dizab. So again, it sounds like gibberish. So the Rashi, of course, points out over here that Moshe Rabbeinu was giving them his farewell speech. And the entire book of Devarim is complete with rebuke, critique, constructive criticism, but criticism nonetheless, because again, he knows that there's going to be tremendous challenges that the people face, and he's telling them where they come from, the sins of the past, which none of them committed because this is the new generation, but still, in order to go forward, you have to know where you came from, you have to know where the pitfalls are. It's like the well-known mashal in the beginning of Mesilas Yesharim. Mesilas Yesharim says that the whole point of the book is life is a maze. Right? We're all in a maze. If you've ever run through one of these mazes that are cut out by hedges, right, by tall bushes, you have no idea where you're going. He says, but if there is a wise man who's been through the maze, and he knows where all the dead ends are, and he knows where all the pitfalls are, and he's like standing outside the maze with a speaker, and he's able to see, or he's standing above, and he's able to see where you're going, and he could say, hey, that's the wrong turn. That's going to lead to a dead end. It's an amazingly precious thing. It would be much easier. We'd all find it much easier to navigate life if we had a coach who knew which way we shouldn't go, where not to turn. And Moshe Rabbeinu is basically telling them about all the pitfalls of the past, all the wrong turns that your fathers, that your ancestors made, so that you shouldn't make the same mistakes. And so Rashi tells us that each one of these is a code for another sin that they committed, but Rashi says that because he didn't want to critique them openly, he said, "Mipnei kvodan shel Yisrael," because of the honor of the Jewish people, he critiqued them with remazim, b'derech remez, with hints. So each one of these is a hint to another wrong turn that they made. For example, okay, Ever Yarden, that's where they are right now. Midbar. Ever Yarden was not a midbar. Ever Yarden, the plains where half of Menashe, Gad, Reuben settled, that was very lush land. That wasn't a midbar. So Rashi tells us midbar is referring to when they angered Hashem in the midbar by saying, you took us out into the desert to die. That was one sin. Arava. Arava, Rashi says, alludes to the sin of idolatry that they committed at Arvot Moav. At Arvot Moav, when, of course, Bilam instructed Balak to send the non-Jewish girls to entice them into immorality and into idolatry. That's Arava. Mol Suf, he's referring, Mol Suf is an easy one. Mol Suf sounds like Yam Suf, right? That was the sin at Yam Suf, when before the sea split, they complained when they were being boxed in. They thought they were being cornered. There was nowhere to go. Couldn't go backwards. They couldn't go to the left. They couldn't go to the right. They couldn't go forward. And they said, were there no graves in Egypt that you had to take us out here to die? So that was the sin at Yam Suf. Paran. What's Paran? Paran is the sin of the spies, the Meraglim, Rashi says. And then you have Ben Tofel Vilavan. So let's skip that for a minute and go on to Chatzerot. Chatzerot, Rashi says, is the machloket of Korach. That was the rebellion of Korach. Di Zahav, that's also pretty easy. Di Zahav, too much gold. What sin came about from having too much gold? The golden calf, Egel Azav. But what is Ben Tofel Vilavan? So Rashi over here struggles, or he brings the Medrash. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai says, Hazarno al kol hamikra. I went through the entire Chumash. V'lo matzinu makam sheshmoi toifel v'lavan. There's nowhere written in any of the Chumash, in all of their wanderings and all of their stopping points, nowhere does it say. In Masai it talks about all the different places. These other things we could figure out, Di Zahav is not a place. It's referring to the Egel Azav. Chatzeros is Korach. What is Toifel and Lavan? What is Tofel v'Lavan? So Reb Shimon bar Yochai comes up with the only thing he could. What sin had to do with the color white? Lavan. So what does he say? The Mann. Ela hochichan al hadvarim shetaflu al haman. Moshe was rebuking them for complaining that the man was white. Sha'amru, as they said, v'nafshenu katza belechem haklokel. Right, that's when the Jewish people showed a tremendous lack of appreciation for the man, which was a miraculous, magical type of a food. And again, it says, Vaydaber Am, the people said, Ki ein lechem, why'd you take us out of Egypt? There's no bread in this desert, there's no water, there's no natural bread, there's no natural water, v'nafshenu katza belechem haklokel. So over here, it doesn't say what they were repulsed. They were like sick. They were literally sick and tired of man. It doesn't say over here what they were sick and tired of man, but earlier they mentioned it mentions that the man was white. Now we don't know that they actually complained. Earlier in Shmot, when it talks about when the man came down, it said the man was white, but Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says this is the only thing I could think of. When he's talking about the sins of Tofel v'Lavan, Tofel means they spoke tiflut, they complained. Tofel means to complain about Lavan. So from here you see that what? That when the Torah describes the man as being white, it says in Bamidbar that they were fed up, they were sick and tired of the man. One of the things that they were fed up with, sick and tired of, was that it was white. Now that's a strange thing. We know Chazal tell us the man could taste like whatever you want it to taste like, except for 5 things. Okay. Garlic, onions, watermelon, can't taste like those things because that's harmful for nursing women. But anything else, you want it to taste like steak, it tastes like steak. You want it to taste like tuna sandwich or whatever you want. Herring, sushi, whatever your favorite food is, assuming your favorite food is not watermelon, garlic, or onions, it could taste like that. It's amazing. What was the one problem? It was white. So we know that, of course, if you were served a steak and it looked white, I'm not talking about basar lavan, I'm talking about basar bakar that looks white. It won't be very appealing, right? It will not be very appealing. But that's because steak is not supposed to look white. But if they understand that man looks white, that's its color. And if you want it to taste like steak, it'll taste like steak, but it won't look like steak. Okay, it'll still look like this, whatever, wafer-like material, white. So they're saying that's what they complained about. So the Lev Avram, Rav Avram Weinfeld, his son was a Rebbe in Torah Moshe when I was in Tomo. Very, very charismatic person. I can only imagine how great his father was. This one was a great person. But anyway, his father, Rav Avram Weinfeld, writes in his Sefer Lev Avram. He says, it's unbelievable, you see over here, that when a person wants to complain, you could find the craziest and most ridiculous things to complain about. You could have something which is 99.9% amazing. This man is a wonderful type of food. You don't excrete it. It's all absorbed in the body. You don't have the burden of having to go to the bathroom and ridding yourself of. There was no waste. It was absolutely pure. It was exactly what the body needed, no more, no less. And it could taste like whatever you want, but yet, you know what? If you want to find something to complain about, you could find what to complain about. That's what you see over here. It was ridiculous. And that's what he was chastising about. And why was that so important for the Jewish people to know? It's because, listen, he's saying, if you're going to find what to complain about by the Mann, which is 99.9% amazing, the only thing that you could find to fault in the Mann, which is not even a fault, it's only a fault because you're saying it's a fault, is the fact that it's white. If you're going to complain about something so trivial as color, how are you going to go into Eretz Yisrael? We know that Eretz Yisrael, especially now, right? Eretz Yisrael, even on its best day, is not 100% roses, right? It's not 100% perfect. I don't think any person made Aliyah and said, wow, I'm 100% satisfied. This land, is everything I thought it would be. I don't have one complaint, not one complaint. That means that, could you imagine a person living here and not having one complaint, not complaining against Bezek, not complaining against Bituach Leumi, not having a complaint in the bank, right? Everything works smoothly. No, things don't work smoothly in Eretz Yisrael. They don't work smoothly anywhere in life. Certainly not in Eretz Yisrael, where you've got the constant tension and pressure of war, which we always live with. Not to this level. We usually don't have to live with the tension that we're living with today. But the point is that Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, listen, I'm not going to be here to pick up and clean up your messes once I'm gone. And therefore you have to realize you're mature now. You're a new generation. You've gone through the desert for 40 years. You have to realize that what? Find the good in everything. Don't look for the negative. Because even Mann you could find the negative in the most trivial way. So he says, you want to be a happy people. You want to be able to live in Eretz Yisrael, embrace Eretz Yisrael, live a fulfilling life. Look at the positive. Look at the glass always being half full and not being half empty. And I think that we know that, of course, we're about, hopefully we won't have to experience Tisha B'Av. Hopefully whatever's happening now should be a total kapara for the gullus that we're living in, and we should have the geula before Tisha B'Av, long before Tisha B'Av. But Tisha B'Av is all about, right? That why did we lose the Beis HaMikdash? Not just because of sinat chinam, but really it could all be boiled down into one thing. Why did we lose the Beis HaMikdash? Why do we have senseless hatred to each other? Because we're always looking at the negative. We see the negative in others. We see the negative in the Beit HaMikdash. We see the negative, everything. If a person is always involved in negativity, you could even find negative in the Mann. The Torah is telling us over here, Moshe Rabbeinu is saying is, don't look at the negative, because you'll never be happy, and you'll only bring destruction upon you and upon the entire community. Negativity just breeds more negativity, and it breeds bad things. If we embrace, and we look at the positive, and we appreciate, I find that it's an amazing thing that, that as scary as the situation is right now, there's a silver lining to the whole thing. Because every night we go to sleep on shpilkas, because every night it's either Blinken or Trump or someone says, tonight's the night. Tonight is when the attack's going to happen. Then what happens? We wake up in the morning, Moida ani lefanecha. Hashem, thank you for another day. Thank you for another day. How many, until now, we wake up in the morning, Moida ani right? We take it for granted. Of course I'm here today, yeah? But now, you get up in the morning, you appreciate, Baruch Hashem, okay, the dread of not knowing when it's going to come, that's part of the psychological warfare that they're doing against us. But again, to see, even with all the negativity and all the tension and all the anxiety, to look at the positive. To be able to say, Baruch Hashem, Hashem, thank you for allowing me another day. And by looking at the positive, and it's not always easy, by looking at the positive, even when there is a lot of negativity, Be'ez Hashem, we should be zoiche that positive breeds positive. Tachshov tov, yeh tov. Right? It's a song, it's a chazal. If we think positive, it'll be positive. And Be'ez Hashem, we should be zoiche to see the redemption today, tomorrow, even in our day.